I'm taking a strap. I'm strapped up.
What's happening? What was that about?
Let's make the fight happen. We strapped the fuck up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strap Season Podcast, episode 214. I'm your boy Flows.
And I'm your boy Kam.
And you know what time it is when I'm introducing the pod. That means we've got a special guest in the building. If you've been following us, then you already know my man. He doesn't need too much introduction. It's our boy, Danny Warrington Carter. Welcome, Dan.
Always, I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be here, and it always is, of course, but under the circumstances, you'll understand if I'm just a little bit off my usual energy.
Yeah, we're all a bit rattled at the minute.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, Kam, what you say, man?
Everyone good? Man. Yeah, good. Before we kick off, this is going to be a great episode, guys. This is going to be, it might be an emotional one. It might be a lot of things. But just before we start, please, guys, head over to our socials. That's Strap Season Pod or Strap Season Podcast. Those are the Twitter and Instagram pages. We got a link in the bio on both of those pages, and that will take you to where we're situated at streaming wise. So please do that for us, guys. Like, subscribe. We have everything there for you. So yeah, make sure you do us a favor with that one. But yeah, I don't want to waste time here, Flores. I'm so eager to get this episode on the run.
I'm not. I don't want to talk about this, but yeah, let's get into it, man.
We have to, man. Yeah, man, hotly anticipated, and obviously, you know, the three of us on the weekend. There's just you know, just letting you guys know just from the jump. We're not going to talk about anything going on next week. There isn't much going on the next week. So we have this entire episode, guys, to focus and, like I said, to dump, if we have to, trauma dump, whatever you call it these days, on what we witnessed on Saturday. Because obviously the three of us went to the fight together, had a great time, and probably saw one of the most shocking, I would say shocking, devastating performances in the boxing ring on the weekend, to be honest, guys. My head was rattled. My head was gone. I think it was the same for both of you guys as well. Yeah, man. Where do we start? First, you know what? You're not gonna hate me, but I feel like we should start with the undercard first before we
I feel like we should too.
Just to build it up. So
yeah.
We've arrived in the arena, right, Flows? I think it was midway between the Josh Kelly and the is it Ishmael Davis?
Yeah.
Ishmael Davis fight. Now, these undercard fights, Flows, we're not going to go through all of them in too much detail, or maybe apart from maybe some of them, but yeah. Because we come in midway through this fight, we don't really sort of know what's going on. We're just taking it as it is. But obviously, Flows, I know, Danny, I don't know how well versed you are in terms of Flows' comments about Josh Kelly throughout his career.
We
No, Danny, you're part of that camp as well. Yeah, Danny, you're also part of the camp.
I think we are very aligned on it. I think we're both part of the same newsletter, in fact, that meets every month and talks shit about this guy. Because, he's another one of those great guys that seems to know everything about the Philly shell and yet nothing at the same time. And I didn't see much evidence of that changing in the, 8 to 10 rounds we saw of their fight when we arrived at Wembley.
Yeah. I mean, for what I could see, it looked like Ishmael Davis was a late replacement. It was meant to be Liam Smith. Liam Smith got injured. This guy's come in. Don't know much about him. Haven't really seen him before. Don't know if you guys are the same as well. But just from the off, what I could see in that fight, that guys was, it's quite competitive. Josh Kelly is being usual Josh Kelly stuff, and just Ishmael Davis isn't letting him have his own way, basically. He's trying to rough him up. He's trying to get to him. He's trying to throw his hands. So I'm there thinking, I wasn't really scoring this fight because we've joined late, so we don't actually know how the previous rounds went. But from what I could see, it looked very competitive. It's the final round, though, that I think is worth talking about, guys. Because in that final round, we saw, I guess, the Josh Kelly of old. I don't even want to say Josh Kelly of old because he might still be that Josh Kelly. But hands down, lazy defense, trying to rely on his reflexes. And Ishmael Davis said, swear, you can give me all this room to punch? Great. And he battered him in that final round. Absolutely battered him. It looked like he hung on with the skin of his teeth in that final round, guys. And he got the split decision win, but I don't know, it doesn't really fill you with much confidence, right, Floats and Danny, that Josh Kelly has learned from his past mistakes. Because in that last round, it did look like to me that was an old school classic Josh Kelly of, I'm going to try and be like Mayweather and I'm going to get my ears boxed off because of that. Floats, you're laughing, but am I lying?
You know what? Maybe because like we joined midway and I wasn't too focused. I won't be too harsh on Josh Kelly because I went watching like a hook. So I'll let him off the hook this time round. I mean, everyone knows my sentiments. Like I said, I think me and Danny initially bonded over our Josh Kelly sentiments. Avenisa fight, I'll go back to where we both predicted he would lose. And we were very much right then.
Yeah. I mean, look, sometimes I don't need a full fight. Sometimes I just need to see somebody for a round or two. And I guess maybe that's like boxer's prerogative because I've spent so many hours sat in the boxing gym with great guys. So, I've had the pleasure of watching Floyd Mayweather train in person. And when you see somebody who is just a master of the Philly shell technique, doing his thing, making it look so seamless. And the reason that he gets away with it is because he has the boxing IQ and acumen to back it up. And to this date, I have not seen any long-standing evidence that Josh Kelly possesses that. And he gave that guy in that last round an inch and he took a mile. And in this sport, that is the difference. Well, that is somewhat what we can say happened to our good friend Anthony Joshua, right? If you give somebody that does know what they're doing too much of an advantage or an availability to piece you up like that at this level, in the words of Mikel Arteta, it's embarrassing. And I felt that round personally, he could have, for all I know, the rounds that we missed were a boxing masterclass. And if that was the case, people can come at me in the comments, whatever, come and get me, it's fine. But just based on that round, Josh Kelly ain't worth talking about. I'm sorry, he is not worth talking about. If you're telling me that is the hope we have here in the UK, hell fucking no. I'm sorry,
Yikes.
I won't have it.
Yikes. Yes. And you know what? It's always of his own making. It's of his own making. Like you say, it's low IQ. I don't know what he thinks he is. Maybe he thinks he's better than he is. It looked like he wanted to take the round off and coast.
Yeah, I feel like he felt like he was so far up that he can just relax in that last round. But it didn't go well for him, did it?
Yeah, but you know what? He survived. So I'm feeling generous today. I want to give him credit for surviving because he was going through hell in there. I think he got caught with an uppercut.
Yep.
And which messed up his nose.
Bust his nose. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think his vision. He said he couldn't see. Yeah, he took a beating, but he survived. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
That's one
one
time.
With him, I just like to see, are you learning from your mistakes? Are you actually improving your IQ? And so far, I can't say that I see that. And that does not bode well for him if he carries on in this trajectory. So, boy, it's what it is. But
well, exactly. And then the problem is, the better the opponent, the worse it gets. So we can't even have that conversation about, oh no, he needs, top tier talent to bring out the best in him, because actually, historically speaking, we haven't seen that, right?
Yep. Top tier talents actually killed him. so yeah. Boy, I don't know where he goes from here. Obviously, he'll keep on being on that comeback trail, but like I said, it doesn't bode well for him in the long run if he's going to keep on having mares like that. But yeah, he got the win, so I guess we can't complain too tough. It sounds harsh because he won the fight, but just that little snippet there was like, it just left a bit of a bad taste, It wasn't good. But following on from that fight, guys,
Talking about bad taste.
Boy, quickly talk about this one because absolute stinker of a fight in the Josh Warrington Cacace fight. Definitely the worst fight of the evening that we saw. Just obviously Josh Warrington is trying to grab Cacace's belt, his IBF belt, and yeah, guys, it was just an ugly fight. A lot of spoiling, a lot of holding. Josh Warrington doing his usual Josh Warrington things of trying to be aggressive on the inside and whatnot, but smothering his own work, spoiling his own work. There wasn't really any ebb and flow to it. Yeah, guys, I didn't enjoy this one. I really didn't enjoy this one. It kind of sucked the life and the energy from the crowd, didn't it, Danny?
Honestly, There were so many rabbit punches. I thought I was watching fucking Animal Planet. I just could not fathom for a second that this was Josh Warrington, the once poster boy of the division in the UK, and that I honest to God, I started looking forward to fucking Liam Gallagher. I was starting to wonder what Liam Gallagher was going to play. I'm not even an Oasis fan. I had time to start checking my emails, and that it was one of the most boring fights I've ever watched live in my life. And it made me not like the super, super feather division. I'm not gonna lie. I just started, holding it against the division, which is bad form. But look, I think that this is the stage where Josh Warrington has to really sort of start assessing where he's at and whether there is anywhere to go from it, because you're not going to get any belts back with those sort of performances, with that kind of energy, with that kind of there was nothing in that fight that told me that he was here willing to risk it all for one last shot of glory, which really is the narrative now, because he is getting on, and the questions are being asked. So look, where does he go from here? If you're telling me that him putting his gloves down at the end there was him saying he's done, I would respect that and I would take that, and then I would choose to forget I ever watched that fight and think about all the other fights in his career, because even the losses, at least he lost with aplomb. At least he lost really, went out on his belt at times, and fair play to him. But yeah, that was not a highlight of his career, or let alone the half an hour in which we wasted watching it.
Danny, you're saying that you don't even know where he goes from here or whatever, for me, I'm saying it straight up, Danny. Flows. Josh Warrington needs to call it a day now. I think that's it for him. I personally don't want to see him in the ring again. And I just don't think he's got anything left. I don't think he has got what it takes to win a belt, a world title, in the division he's currently at. He moved up to fight Cacace. So, I just don't see where he goes. I don't think he has the quality to compete at world level anymore. Flows, we said it before in the pod, and we keep on saying it. This man has not been the same since the Maurizio Lara fight. That's the fight that really took all the wind out of his sails. He has not been the same since. Cool, he was able to grab a title from Kiko Martinez, but that was kind of expected. But overall, Flows, he hasn't looked the same. Hasn't fought with the same vigor, the same vim. Usually what Josh Warrington brings, Flows, that relentless pressure, all action, throwing his hands constantly. Even him, when he tries to do that, it just looks a show of his former self. So, that fight was another stark reminder to me, Flows, that, he has to call it a day. And I think him and his team will be having those questions too. As you said, Danny, putting the gloves down, maybe that was symbolic or something. We don't know. We'll see. But I'm not interested in seeing Josh Kelly fight again. I mean, not Josh Kelly, Josh Warrington fight again. That'd be so real.
Either of them. Yeah. I think that the less said, the better. Because, boy, it's not even like they weren't even doing anything. Josh Warrington was trying to be busy there. He was actually trying to be busy. But it's not materializing into anything of note. It was scrappy. It was ugly. Nothing was clean. Nothing was enjoyable. You can have boring fights, which are interesting. You can't have those where it's like a chess match when not many punches are thrown. This one, they were at least, I don't know what they were doing, but it weren't boxing. It weren't the sweet science. It weren't enjoyable. Josh Warrington, you've given us some good times. You've had some terrible times, but this is the sport. Let's call it a day. Because really and truly, a couple of years ago, we wouldn't be expecting Josh Warrington to go life and death for Anthony Cacace.
Yeah.
He was killing the division a few years ago.
His run was great, to be honest, Flo. I remember his run. I mean, you had the Frampton win, and he was heavily underdog from that one. And he had a couple other great wins, and he was in super exciting fights. And obviously, in Leeds, the crowd was fervent, and their big support over there. So he had a very good run at one point. But all good things come to an end. And to be honest, he's had a good career. Multiple world champion. Yeah. Defended his belt, fought in, headlined in Leeds and whatnot. So there's no shame in hanging up now. But I just think that... Some fighters go out well. Some fighters don't go out well. It is what it is. But you can't take away from the accolades that he's achieved in his career. I never actually thought that Josh Warrington would be a world champion, as in just following his career from the jump. So him even making him a world champion, become a 2-time world champion, or was it 3-time world champion, It's amazing feat in my eyes. I actually think he might have overachieved in his career a little bit. But regardless, yeah, he did his thing. And now there's no shame in calling it a day because I just don't see what else he offers now. And this is what, three losses in a row now? Is it, Flows? 3?
Yep.
And then you take away from that's not too far removed from the 2 Lara fights. I think obviously you got the Kiko Martinez win, but that's about it really. Recently, it's been losses, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think it's a telltale sign. Great run, Josh, Lee's warrior, but yeah, man, every dog has its day.
Absolutely. He'll go down probably as one of the dirtiest fighters in British boxing history.
Yep.
And I would just, when you look at his record and you just look at the point deductions, the injuries sustained that weren't actually part of the actual fighting themselves and that. And then to be fair, even like, he had to break his fucking jaw just to get Kiko Martinez, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like you can't fault his grit. And I think we talk about sometimes like people quitting too easy or stuff like that. I mean, he was not that guy. He would always be in there until
warrior.
He sparks
someone
out or knock the fuck out. And you know what? We need a bit more of that, I think, in society, full stop, let alone in boxing. But yeah, at the same time, I have this very romantic relationship with British boxing where I want to see people go out on their own terms or with dignity. And of course, we're going to have to talk about that a bit later in depth. But this, again, when it gets to this sort of thing, it's not quite as bad as, seeing him get manhandled by some of the other sort of up and coming opponents that have been the case more recently, like, Woods, for example. So, yeah, look, I think you need to know when to call it a day. And I think we're there now.
Yeah. Agreed. Cool. All right. On to more exciting fights then. A fight that we were all looking forward to for different reasons. Ain't that right, Danny? Different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Buatsi, Hutchinson. Thank God this fight came on afterwards, and thank God it wasn't a stinker. A thoroughly enjoyable fight, guys. I think, well, from my end, it was super enjoyable. I really enjoyed watching that. Flows, a fight that I feel like we called perfectly, to be honest, Flows, in terms of how it was going to start, how it was going to be a very difficult fight for Buatsi and for both fighters, actually, and how Buatsi would have to go through hell in portions, but he will figure out Hutchinson and be stronger than him in the later rounds and get him then. And that's exactly how I think it panned out, Flows. Hutchinson started very, very well. Like I said, his awkwardness I always knew was going to be quite an issue for Buatsi. And he started off behind a double jab, jabbing and moving really, really well. And that first round, I thought he boxed Buatsi's ears off in that first round, Flows. I thought he boxed his ears off. But it was really good to see Buatsi not only go through the fire in that fight, but also then pull through. I think figure out what he needs to do in terms of negating what Hutchinson was bringing to the table, and then capitalizing and executing his own game plan, which he did to a plumb, if you ask me, guys, especially with the body work that he employed. And that was Hutchinson's undoing, to be honest, the body work. Danny, I want to come to you because I don't know if you mentioned on this pod before, but I duly found out on the day that you're not necessarily the biggest Buatsi fan. So seeing that fight, I guess you kind of rooting for Hutchinson, I guess. What did you make of Buatsi's performance, Danny? Yeah. What do you think of the performance?
I'll be honest with you. I think that performance of all of them, he somewhat won me over. And I mean, to clarify, like I like to sort of muck around with you guys sort of behind the scenes and that. I wouldn't say I was a hater. I think I was something of a cynic because whilst I think that what he represents and sort of like the way he has tried to piece his career together is super admirable, he's always just lacked this sort of like what I would expect from within the division, like what I call the killer instinct, which I think at that weight class you have to have because you're not as heavy a hitter as say in the heavyweights, and then you're not as agile as some of the lower weights. So you have to be that guy that can really turn it on, work out when your prey is, starting to get hurt and limp, and finish it. And what I will say is that I thought the way he strung himself together throughout the rounds and the way that he sort of really sort of got underneath Hutchinson was really impressive. Like I genuinely found myself kind of rooting for him towards the end. But what I still saw was a guy that can weaken somebody down to almost like 90% and still not finish the job. And I think there were a couple of moments where he was on the cusp of genuinely finishing it. and he almost sort of subconsciously came back and stopped applying the pressure. And I don't know if that's a stamina thing. I don't know. These are long, hard rounds, right? It's all very well me, fucking amateur boxer, sort of having a dispute and that. The longest I've done is fucking 5 a push, right? So then you go to these guys who are doing 12 and such. It's a long time to sustain that, but at that level, you expect it. And so whilst I was impressed, and I do eat my words a little bit, still don't see the finished article. And I think at this stage in his career, with this many fights under his belt, with an opponent that he clearly was able to get under the skin of, like, don't get me wrong, we need to talk about those scorecards in depth after I've heard from you guys, because I think there's 3 judges and 2 of them are watching completely different fights, right? So that in itself is a weird one. But yeah, I think he's a work in progress. And that's why I'm going to just sort of err on the positive side here, because quite frankly, I saw a lot of stuff I liked in him, and I'm now looking forward to seeing where he goes next, and if he can find that last 10% that I think will make him a world beater.
It's interesting, actually, Danny, that you picked up on his, I guess, lack of killer instinct. What you felt that you saw in there, because Flows, we've actually routinely praised Buatsi for being a bit of a spiteful killer when he has his opponent hurt, normally, I guess, in the ring.
Yeah, it's a good thing to discuss, because I guess very early in his career, when he's fighting lesser opponents, he's been able, when he has them hurt, he's got them out of there.
Yeah.
Now, I think back to maybe the Cacace fight, where he had Cacace down or hurt, then didn't get him out of there, unloaded the tank, and had to get a second wind. So that was the first time where we both said, okay, he's going to get him out of there, and he didn't until later on. Then I look at the Buatsi fight, I think he went through hell in that. He got him out late on.
Yeah, but he first got him down in the 6th.
Yeah.
And he didn't finish it till the 11th.
Yeah.
And you're getting somebody down in the 6th. What are you doing for those rounds? You know what I'm saying? It's like you let somebody at this level, you let somebody get back into the fight, you're going to have a terrible day on your hand. And especially if those good rounds and the work is starting to pay dividends at the 6th round, then again, that's just time for the opponent to get back into their corner, to recover, to get a pep talk from their team, to find their legs again. And again, Buatsi is framing himself as a future world beater. And, he hasn't had a TKO on his record since, what was it, 21, right? It's all been unanimous decisions or decisions. Yeah, Buatsi would have been the last one in that. And so and again, this kind of goes back to a point I was making earlier. As the opposition are getting stronger, the final deliveries are getting a little bit lesser. And so, and if it's getting harder for him to finish a fight, then what happens when you're at the top of the table? This is kind of where I'm always thinking, it's like, what the precedents you set on the way up kind of need to stick. And so I think it's kind of worrying if you look at the scorecards and how they landed this time around. Like, at his level, you can't be leaving it to the hands of, well, clearly you shouldn't be leaving it to the scorecards, because look how close they ended up being, pretty unjustly, right? Yeah,
interesting, because I'm just looking at the record, and I'm just thinking back to, obviously he hasn't had a stoppage since 2021. Doesn't that coincide to when a certain Virgil Hunter joined the group, joined the camp? I'm pretty sure it's around that time.
No, I think Virgil Hunter was earlier.
Okay.
I think Virgil Hunter might have been with Cacace. Was it early? Was it that early? Yeah. Was it Cacace, Virgil Hunter?
I thought it was Dos Santos and Bolotniks when he started. That's when he
it might have been.
It was 2021.
Dos Santos. Dos Santos, and then Bolotniks was when,
Virgil. So that's Virgil.
Yeah. So he started with Dos Santos. That was the first fight, but then Bolotniks was the second fight he had under him, and obviously since then it's been Virgil, and since then it's been decisions, not
because
stoppages.
He had Dan Aziz down twice. Well, one legit knockdown, I believe. Dennis, it
was last round. Yeah.
The Stepien fight was poor.
Yeah.
So the killer does seem to be almost fading, because I still give him that time, but every time I've said it, he's a killer. He hasn't gone no killing.
Yeah.
Or he's let the opponent get back into it. So I don't know. Maybe it's a step up in the opposition. I do think from this fight he has learned a lot. Just because we've called on him to go through the domestic scene, which he almost avoided early on. So now he's faced Craig Richards, 12 with him. Dan Aziz, 12 with him. Willie Hutchinson, 12 with him. These are fights where he's probably gained the most from than Estepian or whoever else he's fought. So I think he needs, we always say it's stacked domestically, and you're not beating the two Russians, so might as well.
Well, Yard's still there. It was meant to be Yard, so if Yard can sort out his contractual situation, it's got to be Yard next, surely. Because like I said, we don't. There's no point putting up against the Russians now. He's not going to win he's got no hope of beating those guys. They actually have to leave the division for one of our British guys to grab a belt there. So I agree, Flows. I still think he should carry on. There's still a few, apart from Yard, there's a few domestic guys out there he can fight, I'm sure. So maybe stick to the domestic run and build yourself up with that. But I was very impressed with the body work, guys. Like I said, that is what won him the fight. Like I said, Hutchinson ran out of steam, and partly because Hutchinson isn't experienced in going 12 rounds first and foremost, but also that body work that Yard was investing to from early, by midpoint, it taken its toll. And we saw Willie, really, really, every time Buatsi went to the body, this guy did not like it at all. He froze. It was killing him. But
it was a scary one. But I will say though, there was a couple of moments, or at least one moment in the last 3 rounds, where I saw him get Hutchinson get through, and I saw him put some fear back in Buatsi's eyes.
I was literally going to say
I was thinking to myself there, if you let Bivol do that, even if you let Anthony Yard do that I don't care how good he is at taking a punch in that, you're on the floor then. And this goes back to what I'm talking about. At the next tier up, you're not going to get away with that at all, right? And if Willie Hutchinson can get to you, Anthony Yard can get to you, and Beth can get to you, and Bivol can get to you. In fact, you know what? I know Bivol can get to you.
Bivol gets to anyone regardless.
They get to
yeah. I was literally going to say that I want to give credit to Willie because there were times when he looked like he was out on his feet. And then out of nowhere, that pride, that grit, he's then 4 or 5 combination, bopping Buatsi's head back again. I think I was like, wait, where's that come from? And there were times where Buatsi was covered up and not moving his head and looking like he was hurt. I don't know if he actually was hurt or he was just trying to absorb the punches, but
I think he was thinking. And I think that's the problem when you get a guy at that level thinking in those sort of rounds. And that is probably why I think it's moments like that make the difference in scorecards really interesting, because actually I think, it'll be interesting to know which of the scorecards you guys thought was, the least just, because I know there's a bit of discussion going on about whether it was the closer one.
How did you man score it?
So the official scores were 113, 112, 117, 108, and 115, 110. Now, it was that middle one that I had umbrage with.
Second one. Yeah. Second one was the one I was vexed. The second one was the one that was egregious. I was closer to the third judge. And 115, 110 was, or 114, 110 was something I was leaning towards. Based, obviously, 2 knockdowns. Also got to mention, guys, that Hutchinson had a point deducted as well. Was that for head? Yeah, for the headbutt. Yeah, for the headbutt. Dropped twice, point deduction. I was leaning towards that final scorecard. That second one was way too wide. So I don't know what that judge was watching. And to be honest, I personally couldn't see that first one from what I was watching. Obviously, Flows, we have a mutual friend who scored it that way. But for me personally, I don't see how you could have watched that fight and scored it in favor of Hutchinson, being there, watching it live. So that first one, I kind of have an issue with too. But the second one is the one that I was like, whoa. But
then a lot of people were saying that the criminal one was the 113, 112. I mean,
really?
Genuinely, and this is something that I'm a little bit
interesting,
because let's face it, we did have a big, come to Rydia pillar in our way for certain elements of the fight. So maybe they saw something on the TV that we didn't and such. But
for sure,
from where I was sitting and from the screen that we were looking at when we couldn't see the action happening, again, 115, 110, I can get on board with. 117, 108, even with a points deduction and a knockdown or two, That
Yeah.
one don't sit with me. I don't think that tells the full picture from what I watched, and from the fact that while Hutchinson did, of course, get knocked down, he did still have moments where he came back and he bit down and he got through to Buatsi. So yeah, like 115, 110 was totally fair for me. But again, I think this also comes down to a sort of what do people like seeing discussion, which is one thing between fans, but then between judges, there seems to be like huge discrepancy as well, as we see by this. And so, again, this is one of those divisions where I think because it's not the heavy hitting, and then it's also not the super fast and agile, maybe there is this grey area as to, well, what does a good light heavyweight actually look like? And maybe that's what we're still trying to work out.
Oh, we know exactly.
I mean, yeah. We're going to see the best two of them fight, right? And that's going to tell us what
bar Eastern Europe, where it was, what does it look like for the rest of the world?
We're going to find out.
Russia.
We're going to find out. But look, I do want to give credit to Willie in the sense that while I predicted that the fight would go somewhat how it went, I didn't anticipate Willie to take the last 3 rounds the way he did. I think that's fair to him. I thought he'd break down and Buatsi would either stop him late or win on points. With the body work, which we saw. But Willie really rallied back, showed heart, showed fight, and I think his story doesn't end at all. I want
to see him again for sure. He shouldn't go anywhere. He's good. Willie Hutchinson is a really good fighter. He's going to give a lot of other fighters domestically issues. He's already given Spider issues, so he's given Buatsi issues too. The one thing I will say though, guys, is I think that Willie being so switch heavy didn't help him at all. Fighters have to stop doing this. I mean, we've mentioned it before about how we're not a massive fan of fighters who know they can switch and they just do it all the time, just for switching, just to show off, switching sake. There was no reason for him to switch as much as he was doing, and every time he switched, he got caught.
I think he did have a reason. I think he was trying to confuse Buatsi because he was switching against Richards and was killing Richards.
Yeah, but from close, it wasn't working. He should have stopped doing it. But he kept doing it.
Yeah.
He almost had the opposite problem to what a lot of boxers have, where they're too hittable and they square off too much. And for me, it felt like half the time he was trying to be as thin as he could through here, so to the extent that sometimes it was like he was turning his back to him, right? I think that's an interesting problem to have, because A, it does make you slightly harder to hit in that, but B, then you're getting spun around a bit, which A, opens up the referee's pocketbook, right? And B, can throw you off so much. And then when you're trying to switch up around that as well, I just wonder if, tactically speaking, they were trying to be a bit too clever in that corner, in that respect.
Buatsi was annoying me as well, because Willie would turn sideways on and walk backwards or walk away from him. And I kept saying, chase him down, press him. Don't let him walk off like that. Go for him. And he finally obliged later on in the rounds when he finally started getting to him. But initially, he was letting him do that. I'm thinking to myself, come on, man. If your opponent's going to, we'll talk about it later, but if your opponent's going to give you room to throw punches and do that, throw the punches, hit him, step onto him. But yeah, no, great fight from both guys. And yeah, Buatsi still was not the finished article, as we said. Still got a long way to go before we can even think about trying to beat these guys, these Russians. But yeah, he's still room for him to grow. And Hutchinson, he should definitely come again. Like, I have no doubts about that. He's very good. Let's quickly talk about the quickest fight of the night, guys. Hamza Sheeraz, Tyler Denny. We knew this was a mismatch on paper, to be honest, going into this fight, guys. So I didn't expect it to end. I didn't expect it to last long. And Hamza obliged us by getting rid of Tyler Denny in 2 rounds, I think it was, guys. Was it 2 rounds? Dropped him early on in the first round. He didn't even look like a meaningful punch, but Tyler Denny felt it and went down. And then second round, he closed the show. But Flows, I think you summed it up perfectly. You said that, Tyler Denny's he overachieved massively by even being here. I think his last 2 fights, he was a big underdog. He came through it. Fair play to him. But Hamza's the real deal. Hamza Sheeraz is the real deal. And he wasn't going to get any luck fighting Hamza, to be honest. And we've seen recently that Hamza's in a very destructive mood as well. He's a matchup problem for this division, domestically, even at world level. I mean, being so tall and lanky, even though he's skinny, he hits like a train. He's got good boxing skills and good boxing IQ. I really, really like what I'm seeing from Hamza Sheeraz. Danny, I don't think we've spoken about Hamza before, just as in with us. You a fan? You've been following his journey, or are you a fan now? What are your thoughts on Hamza?
Yeah, no, an exciting guy, and sadly, I think I'm looking to watch fights that tell me more about him than I know currently. And obviously, this wasn't it. We got 10 minutes of Morrison and 6 minutes of boxing. I mean, what the hell are we going to take from that? Don't get me wrong, I love Morrison, so I'm all up for that. But yeah, look, this guy is exciting, all right. I think the way he's doing it, the sort of like the style in which he's doing it now, he's destructive, and I think we've seen that through the last few fights and that. And I think he's got enough sort of like names on his CV now for me to say, all right, in the space of just what is it now, like 21 fights, right? 21 fights, 17 of those are both knockout, and you're starting to up the pace gradually with your opponents. This is exactly what we need, right? And this wasn't it. It just simply wasn't it. And now I don't think he can keep having these sort of fights. At this stage now, he needs to sort of bite down. Either some other fighters are going to have to take a risk and like throw their name at the stake, or he is, because he's got to move on. And I'm keen to know from you guys, like, who is the next opponent here, right? Because I was trying to think about it. I don't think you can throw him straight in with the number one spot yet, right? But at the same time, who else is there?
Well, I was saying that I feel like next year, I think we should be seeing Hamza in the world title fight. Honestly, I think I think next year we could see him in the world title. Well, I don't know if I'm not saying start of the year, mid portion, or end of the year, but in 2025, I expect him to be called to the carpet when it comes to a title fight. I looked at the champions and I saw the landscape of the middleweight division. It's not the strongest division, but there are guys there I feel like he can beat. Specifically Erizlandi Lara, who we
he's
just
had
saw
6
fight
fights more than the champion. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of depth and experience, like
you're talking about Johnny. Okay, Johnny Beck is probably the best out of the champions. To be fair, he is good. I don't know. I mean, that was a great fight. I don't know if I'll throw him in the hat with Johnny Beck straight away, because Johnny Beck has a lot of amateur experience. But I'm looking at Lara, to be honest, Flows and Danny. Lara, I feel like at 41, 42, get him out of here, man. Hamza can beat Lara. That's obviously, I don't think it's a realistic fight to make, given that Lara's what PBC and whatnot. So it's probably not going to happen. But if I'm trying to make a match, it's Lara. I think he can take him out, and that's a world title there straight away. And then he can think about unifying and whatnot. Easy said than done, I know, but yeah. But I do think he's ready for a world title shot. I'll be honest. I don't think there's anyone domestic level that can hang with him, and at European level as well, to be honest, Flows. Unless, correct me wrong if you have names on them to be your tongue, Flows, but I don't think there's anyone left for him or anywhere for him to go.
The 160 division is dead. It's been dead for a long time. If there is a fight that I want to see him in at 160, it's a fight you guys are both big fans of, Chris Eubank Jr. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see him stop him in 2 rounds.
Feed him, please.
I forgot about Chris. I forgot about Chris.
But tell you what, boys, we'll go 3 ways on that card, all right? I'll pay the purse. I'll pay the purse personally.
Chris won't take it. I'm telling you now. Chris will avoid it. Chris would not take that, because that's a career threatening move for him. If he
won't take, it's a fight, so he's not taking it. Sticks. I don't know what. Yeah. Anyway, forget him. I think Hamza can do what he wants in this division. When he wants. At this point, I've fully invested in him. I think Lara's a nice touch. Johnny Beck would be a good test, but I see his future at higher divisions.
Oh yeah,
I don't see him sticking around too long in this division, and that's where things will get interesting. I think 168 will be very interesting. I don't think he's going to win the Canelo lottery, but there's other names who are trying to call out Canelo. Mbili.
I think Caleb Plant. Give him Caleb Plant. Give him Benavidez.
I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's ready for them, man.
Whoa, Danny. Benavidez, slow down. Not yet.
He could be.
I think
once he does eventually move.
Yeah.
Once he does move up, Mbili, Munguia, Pacheco, Belanga,
Morel Jr.
These are names where it starts to get interesting. At 160, I think he can really do the job there. Johnny Beck is the only worry I have.
Yeah.
But if he wants to clean up 160 and move up, maybe that will hold him in good stead for the rest of these guys. So that's where it'll get interesting for Hamza, 168. And he could even go up to 175, but there's no business for him right now.
175. He's bigger than the 175 pounders as well, to be honest.
He can certainly end up there, but he has no business there right anytime soon. Because like we said, there's only two factors in that division right now. Only two factors.
Yeah. But great win. Great win for Hamza. And he keeps on going, strong. So yeah. He might even be out end of the year again for us because that fight ended in 2 rounds. So yeah, I don't think he took a punch. So yeah, he might be back out end of the year. We'll see. But I think we've kept the listeners waiting long enough, guys. It's time to decompress with the AJ fight. Yeah, flows.
Ooh.
Mr. Carter, we're here. We're back. Guys, it was just an absolute shocker. I'll be so real, guys. It was an absolute shocker. I was so confident that Anthony Joshua was going to do the job on Daniel Dubois. No shade to Dubois. I knew he was a dangerous opponent. It's a heavyweight division, as we know, guys. Anything happening in heavyweight division, one punch can change a fight and whatnot. But, guys, that was one of the most destructive performances that I've seen in the heavyweight ring from a favorite, someone that was meant to, do well. This was 100% times 100. Because I said it on the way home, 100% worse than what Bud Crawford did to Errol Spence, and that was a shocker for everyone. That was a rattler, but seeing this in the flesh live as well made it even worse. I don't know where to start, guys, but I think I'll start off just by saying, and just why did AJ make so many rookie mistakes? Because I've gone back and gone over it, and I'm just seeing so much mistakes that he made, and to me it was so baffling. And it's another example of how one moment can change an entire fight. Because in that first round, AJ made one crucial error, and he never recovered from it, and that's what lost him the fight. That error he made in the first round to have his hands down, leaning back. You guys know boxing. You guys know that is criminal 101 in boxing, to have your hands down, leaning back to slip a punch or to avoid a punch. So for him to do that, someone of his experience, someone of his caliber, I'm lost as to why that happened. I've been racking my brains. Danny, it's baffled me. Was he complacent? Do you think it's near the end of a round? I don't know. But crazy.
I mean, I need to caveat this by saying that, I am, by all intents and purposes, an AJ fanboy. Anthony Joshua is the reason that after my university boxing career, let's call it, I sort of, carried on boxing and then stepped back into boxing again in 2017. So, when I say, this is an emotional one for me, I mean it. And I think this is probably going to go down as one of the most pivotal fights in British heavyweight boxing for a long time. But I think for all the wrong reasons, which you've alluded to here, where as I was waiting for you lads on the other night, I was trying to sort of see who was actually turning up and everything like that. And, you had the kids from Finchley Boxing Club turning up in their trackies and everything like that. And I love that. Local guys coming to watch the hero, right, of the amateur space and such. And I think there were kids in the crowd from local boxing clubs who would have been watching that fight, watching him play out in the first round, going, what the hell is this guy doing? Because I think there was just a complete lack of everything that this supposed rebuilding of Anthony Joshua has stood for, where it's been about getting back to the fundamentals, actually boxing when you have to, actually learning to stick it on the opponent when you have to. And as you say, from the outset, Dubois was on him. He allowed himself to be put on the back foot from the outset. And it wasn't just the big punches that obviously did make the difference. That right hand was sent from the gods. There was nobody was going to avoid that one. But it was the jab. It was the precision. And you picked up on it on the day. It was just that twisting focus that he had, which at that level and at that weight class is devastating. And AJ looked like a shadow of himself. I compare it to the years prior when I was there for the AJ Povetkin fight. And he made some mistakes in the early rounds in that fight, but then he got back to his basics and he put it down on Povetkin, who, let's face it, even in his day, several fights later was able to lay Dillian White out with, some pure power and such. So it's a mystery to me. I really cannot put my finger on how or why, of all the ways that he could have ended up losing to Dubois, and there were chances, there were ways he could have outside of that. That was the last route I think any pundit or boxer would have expected. Honestly, I'm still a little bit baffled as to the manner.
I'm still baffled because Dubois. I mean, Team AJ would have known Dubois. AJ knows him very well. We all knew that Dubois will start fast, or he would attempt to start fast. That's what Dubois is. Dubois only has one mode. Let's go. As he said all the time, go mode, go forward, be aggressive. That's all he knows. So we knew he was going to try and stick it on him. But why did AJ allow it to happen so easily? Why did he allow himself to lose center ring and be on the back foot straight away? And I was saying it from the jump, right, guys, that this jab that AJ's throwing out in this first round, I do not like it. It's tentative. It's not authoritative at all. He's pouring at it. It's not given. Contrast that to Dubois, who's got that. I did highlight probably one of his biggest strengths is he's got a good ramrod jab. Like it's strong, it's powerful, it's piston-like. So Dubois is winning the battle with a jab straight away, popping his head back and just being aggressive and unloading on him. And I thought to myself, this is odd. Like, why would he start in this way? This is a complete wrong tactics, but cool. I'm there thinking, all right, it is what it is. He's lost his first round. That's fine. Second round, regroup, download data, go crazy like we thought he would do. And obviously that last 15 seconds happened where, again, didn't see it coming. The big right hand out of nowhere. AJ's got his hands down, leaning back. Boom. Dropped him. Like I said, the moment that happened and he got up and I saw the state of his legs, so it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a very, very long night for our guy. And boy, was it a long night, guys. He got beat up. There's no dressing up about it, guys. He got battered. It's peak.
Oh, man. Look, like you say, we expected Daniel Dubois to start fast, start how he means to go on. Is typically what he does. But in my predictions, I was very descriptive in my predictions of this fight. I said I knew Daniel Dubois would start this. I expected AJ to catch him and catch him frequently. So much so that Daniel Dubois would take a knee or several knees and be stopped with a 10 count. It was my prediction. This was Dubois' easiest win. Easier than Gorman, easier than Trevor Bryan.
Thank you. Yeah.
He's been through hell against Lorena.
Easier than Lorena. Yep.
He lost to Joyce, Usyk. He's been through hell with these fights, and this was his easiest one. Now look, it's all come from a shot from the heavens, but I was
from the heavens.
Look, this is what I was saying to you. Like, look, that shot could have come in the second round, could have come in the third round. The way it was going, the way that fight was going, there's no way to say that if he didn't catch him with that shot, AJ would have won. Because the way it was going, the bar was out jabbing him, out madding him, out gunning him, and he landed that shot, which we could say, okay, AJ dropped his guard. But the way that fight was going, the bar could have landed that shot in the second, could have landed in the third, and to me, it seemed like AJ was losing that fight, regardless from the way he was fighting, unless he changed something, which. Watching it at the time was thinking, okay, AJ started to settle, and then bang, he makes a mistake. So I don't know. It's heavyweight boxing; these things always happen.
We have to make a mistake. You have to pay.
It's heavyweight boxing.
That's what we know it is. So yeah,
they ain't tickling each other in there. These big guys throwing big punches.
So, yeah, but guys, you're forgetting this is Anthony Joshua. This is the Olympic golden boy. This is the two-time heavyweight champion of the UK who went in there with Daniel Dubois, who, let's be real, the three of us thought was going to fold. And instead, our golden boy has gone in there, hasn't had a single good round in 5. There wasn't a single round that you could try and argue in his favour.
No.
He got cooked.
It was that. And we need to talk about that 5th round especially, because that was probably his only saving grace. And I have 2 opinions really on this. One, I saw what happened in his mind, I saw that he was, as far as he was concerned, he knew he was getting pretty close to done, and this was his last chance to really lay it on Dubois, and he went for it. And for heart, for the soul of this sport, for that grit and determination, we always say we want to see guys go out on their shield. I get it. He flipped a coin and thought, okay, I'm going to go out on my shield. But even when he went out on his shield, it wasn't the right way to do it at all. And he dropped everything to try and throw a punch that wasn't hard enough or precise enough to finish the job that Daniel Dubois saw coming from a mile off. And he made him look like that break dancer from the Olympics. And it breaks my heart.
He looked like Buatsi.
It breaks my heart. You know, and there's, funny enough, when I was like prepping for this, there's a quote that came to mind, not to get all literary on you boys, but there's a quote and it reads, "Desperation is like stealing from the mafia. You stand a good chance of attracting the wrong attention." He flipped a coin with the mafia in that fifth round, and it was the wrong way. It was the wrong way. I would have sooner seen him do what Arsenal did for most of that match on Sunday against Man City and hold the fort, crawl back, try and find something out of it. I think that going down on your shield in that manner, while I understand maybe what the rationale was, I think it sends the wrong message. And I think it's wrong for somebody like him who clearly has no intention of quitting. That is the wrong message to send at this point in your career. Look at all that work that's gone into the rebuild. Look what the momentum was now. He'd been piecing it together.
Damn. Danny, so I actually agree with you as well, Danny, in the sense that I fully get, look, what AJ did in the fifth round, to me, again, criminal rookie mistake or criminal rookie behavior. But listen, what I mean by that is simple. You know, he decided to throw the kitchen sink at Dubois despite having no legs under him, because AJ's legs never recovered from the first round, to be honest. He was wobbly legged, and when he looked like he recovered, a simple Dubois shot would send him back to jelly legs again. So when he was throwing these and loading up on these big punches, because I think he himself decided that, you know what, I'm just going to try and land this big right hand, and I'm just going to try and spam this big right hand and catch this guy to make him feel something, because I've been getting battered and bruised so far. So he was throwing that big right hand and trying to set up that big shot, the big uppercut, and every time he was off balance because he had no legs underneath him. You can't do that. But in that fifth round, AJ simply thought, look, I have been getting battered here, so any chance I can hurt this guy and get him hurt, I'm going to go for it and go for broke, because of the fact that I've been taking a beat down. And again, it's a rookie mistake to go out swinging like that when you have no legs and no defense, because you're going to get countered. But I get the rationale behind it, because, like I said, he'd been taking such a hellacious beating. It's like, no, I need to end this at any chance. Look, I need to finish this now. I need to end this any chance I can get. Now, really and truly, what he should have done, it was only round 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to go. He should have tried to weather the storm. Really and truly, what he should have done, tried to weather the storm, guys. Get his legs back, get behind his boxing, because he's a superior boxer to Daniel Dubois. Behind that jab, on the outside, and we'll wheeze him if you have to. But to be honest, Danny and Flows, I'll be so real with you guys. I don't think that Joshua would have been capable of doing that. Just the way that fight was playing out, just the way he looked in that night, guys, on Saturday night, doing that game plan, I just don't think would have worked. I still think Daniel Dubois would have got to him, because Daniel Dubois was landing at will on this guy. He was out-toughing him. AJ was wrapping him up, but Dubois was pushing him off. You know what I mean? Like, he was quick to the punches. I was scared. Every little exchange that these guys had, guys, I was scared for AJ. I saw the remnants of the gun-shy AJ that we saw for the last 2 years. I said to myself, he doesn't look good in these exchanges, because they're both landing, but every time Dubois lands, AJ's the one wobbling and rocking back, and Dubois looking stronger and stronger. We know how Dubois is. He gets stronger and stronger. He keeps going for the entire fight. He's got an engine. So I just feel like, look, if he'd done the smart game plan of trying to tough it out for the next couple of rounds before then softening him up with a jab and getting, behind his boxing, cool. In theory, that is the right way to do, but I just don't think AJ would have executed that on Saturday night. I'll be so real. Just based on the AJ that was before us. It wasn't the same AJ as we'd seen previously in the previous fights. I don't want to say something was wrong, there's no excuses, but like I said, it just wasn't him. And I think Dubois would have gotten to him regardless, whether it's the 9th, 10th, 11th round. The way Dubois was throwing those punches with mean intentions and not taking a step back, yeah, man, it wouldn't have worked. So that's why I feel like AJ just was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go for broke here. And as you said, Danny, flip a coin, heads or tails. It didn't land on the right spot.
Nah, man, he thought he was throwing the kitchen sink, and he ended up just throwing the soap, and he fucking dropped the soap. You know what I mean? And we know what happens when you drop the soap, boys.
Yo.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think there had to come a point where he gambled. I think he had to gamble at some point. Now he never recovered and gambled too early, evidently. But like you've been saying there, Cam, Dubois was getting at him every type of tactic AJ used to survive. Dubois was not letting him lean on him at all. Dubois was like, get off me. I'm smacking. Anytime AJ tried to create distance or close the distance, Dubois would push him away or hawk him down. He wouldn't let him get away.
Hawk him down as well, Flows. Oh, man.
On to him. Anytime AJ wanted to move out the way or circle, Dubois was right there. Throwing. So AJ was likely to get caught again. He landed a good shot in that 5th round, and he thought, "Bun it. This is it. This is it."
Yeah.
Because even there was a point where he stood up, and I think he beckoned to Dubois. Hey, let's meet.
Yeah.
I think that was an earlier round. He said, "Let's meet." It didn't go well for him then. So I think he thought, "Yeah, I've got it's do or die now." He just rolled the dice too early. But he had to roll that dice, I think, the way that fight was going. He had to. And I don't think he would have recovered at any point. I think the damage he was taking, he weren't getting enough time to get his legs back. Because Dubois was down and Dubois was still punching him. I think the second knockdown.
Second knockdown, yeah.
Dubois was giving him a break.
I think it was the exchanges that were problematic, right? And then the problem being as well that, and I think one of you made this point on the night, it was almost as if AJ was waiting for him to reset. And you just need to remember that Daniel isn't that kind of boxer.
Daniel Dubois is not normal.
He doesn't have the boxing prowess. He is a great boxer and he is clearly in the mix now, but that's not how he operates. He just keeps going. He was a machine. And so
he is a machine.
By the time AJ was realizing fundamentally what was going wrong, it's almost like he was waiting for a reaction that just never came. And again, he's better than that, boys. He's better than that. He has been, even at his worst points in his career, he has still been better than that. So it's a mystery to me, and that's why I hate myself, because right now I'm praying they run it back, because I just need to know if it was a bad day in the office. I need to know if it was just a bad day in the office, or if Daniel Dubois really is the boogeyman. Because I've been very critical of Daniel Dubois, and quite frankly, I'm both mortified and really happy that I was there to watch this happen, because as I say, I think it is a turning point in British boxing. And I think if Daniel has one more performance like this, he truly is up there, with the greats. And
can't be the boogeyman, man. He can't be the boogeyman.
Flows, Danny, Flows, before you was that a passing of a torch moment on Saturday?
I don't know. I don't know if I can say that, man. I don't know if I can say that. Look, I will say to Dubois, full credit. I'm super happy for Dubois. Me and Cam talk about Dubois. We love to see him happy. We love to see him smiling.
Cute, man.
If anyone deserves it, Dubois deserves it. He's been through hell, and his journey from that hell to where he is now, no one deserves it more than Daniel Dubois.
Crazy. Yeah.
I mentioned the reset thing. AJ was looking at Dubois like he's because they both had an exchange where they both missed, and AJ was thinking, okay, yeah, I'll get back in position. Dubois was right on top of him. But yeah, shout out to Dubois. He's proved the haters wrong. He's improved. He's come on leaps and bounds. Passing of the torch, I still think he loses to Usyk and Fury. So I don't know where he's going to take this. But I think it's good. I think what we're seeing in this heavyweight division is we're going to keep seeing these guys beat each other, face each other, beat each other. Dubois could go on and lose to someone else next. And that's a good thing. We've been sport. not spoiled, but
the competitiveness is good, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
We've been in an era where losing damages people, or now you lose once and you're terrible.
You're finished.
We're moving more into MMA where the best are fighting the best, and you're gonna expect to lose once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, but win in a rematch.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the era we're in now. It's heavyweight boxing. Anyone can beat anyone. Anyone's good anyway. And Dubois will probably lose again. AJ might win again and lose again. Usyk is the only one I can. Even Usyk.
Usyk can lose.
Usyk can lose.
He can lose.
And that doesn't take anything away from him. He's still the best.
Yeah.
Usyk's the best, but he could lose. Yeah. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
So passing of the torch, maybe it is for Dubois. Maybe it is, but one loss now, they will say, the Dubois. Because if he lost to Kevin Lorena,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just that sort of time now for heavyweight boxing, and then you think back to like these stinking periods for the heavyweight division, like the Klitschko division, of course. The Klitschko era, I should say, being one of them, and now we're in a phase where the tables are turning quicker, and we're seeing people come up. Like no one had heard of Zhilei Zhang until about 12 months ago, really, and now suddenly Joseph Parker's back in the mix, and now you've got Usyk coming up from cruiserweight and doing what he's doing at that level, and I feel like those numbers 2 through 4, it's a bit like the Premier League suddenly. It's changing every match, and that for me makes it really exciting. And so you asked, is this a passing of the torch moment? Yeah, absolutely, but it's raining quite often as well, so people got to protect the torch more often than ever now, which is probably exactly what the sport needed.
I want to talk about Dubois a bit more because obviously he was elevated in champion, email champion. Obviously we saw it was quite funny. The champion coming out first, and obviously the crowd, all AJ, to be honest, people was there. It was pretty much 90% of the crowd were there for AJ. It was AJ. It's meant to be AJ's night, and I think now obviously him winning this, him beating AJ, especially in that fashion, demolishing him. You can say, okay, cool. He's definitely a worthy champion in that regard. We spoke about his improvement before, Flows, and just how, because of the way Dubois is, he can be programmed, if that makes sense, into the machine that he is, because he doesn't necessarily have the boxing IQ compared to others, but because of the way he is, he listens intently to only 2 voices in his corner, Don Charles and his dad. So they're telling everything, and he can do everything they say. So he's almost, in the way, Flows, the best fighter to have, because he's going to listen to every word you say, down to a T. And it seems to be working for him, Flows. Like I said, he doesn't do normal things in the ring sometimes. Like you said, Flows, doesn't reset when he's meant to reset and whatnot. And it's proven him, it's helped him so far in his career till we get to this moment now, where he's destroying AJ, something that no one thought he could do. Obviously, Flows, you say he loses to Usyk and Fury or whatever in your eyes, but it's not going to be an easy fight for them, especially the way Daniel fights, especially the way he just comes forward and just throws and whatnot. He's fast, he's strong. Fury, I don't know if he wants to see Dubois, I don't know if Gardens do that. I don't know if he wants to see Dubois, I'll be so real. But yeah,
I think I said this as well. Fury will take Dubois super serious now if they ever got serious.
Oh yeah.
After that, he will take it so serious.
In fact, AJ was trying to tie him up and stuff. Fury's the tie-up master, so he's going to look to just grab him every time. So yeah, but he's what, like, obviously in terms of what's next. Obviously we know Fury and Usyk are rematching on in December. Do you think it's fair that you like to see Dubois face the winner of that match, guys? Yeah,
I think that's the only fair thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a crazy turnaround. When this guy quit against Joe Joyce, you know how long it took for him to shed that quit tag, and now look at him. So you know what? Fair play to him. Fair play to the team. Frank Warren, he called it from day one. He said he felt like Dubois got the beating of AJ. It's happened for him now. So yeah, fair play.
Look, man, I mean, when I first moved back to the UK, I was training out of Peacock's gym, and I used to have the pleasure of watching him train. Same, Anthony Yard was there as well. It was like such a great time for me coming back to the UK and seeing like these really up and coming British boxers. If you'd have told me then that this kid, who was clearly a sponge because you saw the way he listened to the trainers and the way that he would sort of tune in on stuff that wasn't working, like he was clearly like different mustard. But if you would tell me that 4 years later he was going to be demolishing Anthony Joshua in the manner he had done, I mean, I wouldn't have believed you for a second. And I think that is testament to the fact that actually this guy has clearly got something about him, and we do need to take him seriously. We do need to give him his roses now.
We
And
actually
I
do.
think too often we really do. And like you're saying, like, yes, he deserves the winner of that fight. Of course he does, because where else does he, with the exception of Parker and that, like, you can't really send him backwards after he's done that in front of 96,000 people at Wembley Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Maybe put him in with Liam Gallagher. I'm up for that. But otherwise, then straight on to fucking the big dogs, because he is a big dog now. He is a big dog. He has just barked the loudest.
Flows can't believe it.
Dubois? I just had a thought. Dubois could become undisputed.
Undisputed, yeah. Dubois.
That is not on anyone's 2024 bingo card, boys.
Who predicted that one? Especially this, maybe once these men got out of there. But Dubois undisputed after beating a Fury or Usyk. That would be special. And once again, no one deserves it more than Dubois. If I had to pick someone who deserves it, or I'd like to see do it, just off.
Yeah, but of all the British guys, who did you peg to be undisputed?
Yeah,
Dubois wasn't even in the shortlist.
AJ started all this, man. Yeah, but Danny, you spoke to, and you guys have already spoken about how in this boxing world is awfully fickle. And obviously we knew after the defeat in that kind of manner, what comments we'd be seeing, what memes we'd be seeing. Obviously, we saw AJ trying, he said, breakdancing, the way he hit the canvas. Straight away, even as we're leaving the arena, guys, we're hearing saying comments about, oh yeah, he's finished. Hang him up. It's done for him. Blah, 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 blah. Danny, you said you want to see a rematch. You said you want to see, obviously, there's a rematch clause on AJ's side. You want him to activate it clearly, Danny, and you want him to right the wrong. Flows, are you in the same camp of seeing them run it back? And if they was to run it back, would you be confident that AJ can rectify those wrongs?
That's a great question, Cam. That's a very good question. Let me start with the first half, because that second half is crazy. So, a few things from AJ's perspective. I think if he wants to stick around, and if he has to run it back, I think he has to run it back.
Okay.
I think he does. If he thinks he can win, I think for him, if I was him, I would want to run it back ASAP. Now, from the outside looking in, yeah, maybe not. I would say, for me, take an easier touch. Jarrell Miller is an option, because I know AJ's not losing to Jarrell Miller. Denny needs to retire. Or, for the bread, him v Deontay Wilder. Lose a bum v bum, wash v wash, whatever. Because if he beats them two, that's two good wins.
Wash v wash. Flows, are you saying AJ might be washed?
I'm just saying that's how you bill it. That's how you said it. Wash v wash.
Okay.
And then, but the running it back with Dubois is scary, because now Dubois is in his head again. One, the sparring stories, which seem to be true to a degree. And then two, he's just done that to you. He's done you dirtier than anyone's done you dirty. I don't know, Danny, what do you think? Because I know you have opinions on this as well. What does AJ do next?
I think he has to do the rematch. And I'm just coming at this strictly from a look where he's at now. And look, this is the second attempt at going the whole 9 yards derailed, right? You can't, when you're Anthony Joshua and you are walking out as the champion to 96,000 people, even though you ain't got the belt, and you take a loss like that, can't go back to the support act. You are still a headliner. And if you're going to rebuild, I think rewriting the wrong and then silencing the doubters, who, of course, we heard them all walking down Wembley Way. You know what I'm saying? And some of the takes were just pure cocaine-filled nonsense, to be completely honest with you. But at the same time, I think the rematch, even if you just go in there and you give a better account of yourself and you still lose, I think that's the only way you move forward personally. And then after that, if you want to talk about the Wilder fight or the Fury fight as being the last two, then maybe I entertain that. But I want to, as an Anthony Joshua fan, I want to believe that that was a bad day at the office. And that actually, even if he loses again, he can give a better account of it. And I think to some extent we saw that with the second Usyk fight. You know what I mean? I think there was certainly some slightly more convincing rounds in that. I mean, end of the day, it still went the same way, right?
Yeah.
But you know, he has lost two winnable fights, as far as I'm concerned, in these ones. And then the two Usyk fights, I don't think they were winnable because I think Usyk was just, you know, not the guy for him. But you know, the Andy Ruiz fight, he should have won. I still believe that he should have won the Daniel Dubois fight, and I still think that the way that we foresaw him winning this fight, I don't think that's far fetched.
Yeah,
and I need to see a repeat. And don't get me wrong, I'm practical, all right. If he goes back in there and gets turned over again by Dubois, then fair enough. But at least he tried. And I think in this current heavyweight division, where we are generally giving people two shots at this thing, I think it makes sense. Now, whether Danny Dubois' team think it makes sense, I don't know. But also, who else does he fight at the moment until while he's waiting for the other two to get their stuff together and that, you know? You probably want to stay pretty active at this point. You don't, you know what inactivity does to boxers, especially in the heavyweight division. I think Deontay Wilder is a great example of that, right? So I hope they run it back, and it'll be the worst night of my life. I can tell you. The anxiety, I can already feel it, but I need to know as a heavyweight boxing fan, as a fan of British boxing, as an Anthony Joshua fan, I just need to know whether it was a fluke or whether this is actually the complete bully that we did not see coming. I can't believe I'm even saying it.
Yeah.
I think, guys, so wait, just before I start, we all agree that we don't think Anthony Joshua is so-and-so washed, right? We don't think he's...
No. I do think he's a confidence or mentality fighter. I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That seems to have, because we've seen different iterations. We've seen Timmy AJ.
Yes.
So I do think this could affect him. But yeah, mentally. I don't think he's washed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think to bounce back from this, we're going to see he's going to have to go to a mental place and show mental strength that he hasn't shown before. Like, he's going to have to dig the deepest he's ever dig to bounce back from this one. I think personally, a loss, if he rematches Dubois and loses again, especially in that fashion again, I think that's disastrous for AJ's career. Disastrous.
Agreed.
Me personally, I will want AJ to see and wait out for the result of the Fury-Usyk rematch. If Fury loses, then I think they should lobby for the AJ Fury fight. At this stage of his career, well, I said this stage, like I said, I don't think AJ has that many fights left, or there's not many people I want to see him fight. The Fury fight is something that I think that we British public have deserved all this time. So I feel like him rematching Dubois from the off, and if he loses, that could potentially derail a Fury fight. I don't think it will overall because, again, there's so much money in that fight. But I think Fury losing to Usyk would give a great platform and layup for AJ to bounce back, because obviously the comments piss me off, but I just know how frustrating it is talking boxing with casual fans. So just a few minutes ago, everyone was saying AJ's back, AJ's back, AJ's back. Cool, he's lost now, so he's finished again. We know one big win, he'll be back again. We know how it goes in the boxing streets.
Yeah, exactly.
So a win against Fury would, if let's say Fury does lose and he fights Fury and he beats Fury, that's going to platform him right back up into the mix again to maybe then go on to fight. I don't know. Let's say Fury loses and then Dubois then goes to fight Usyk. He can fight the winner of that. But let's say Fury does win and beats Usyk for his other 3 belts. I personally have no interest in seeing AJ fight for Usyk for a 3rd time, personally, if you ask me. I don't think AJ beats Usyk at all anyways. Even this new and improved AJ that we saw these last couple fights, I still don't think he could beat Usyk that way. Usyk to me is just ridiculous. I just think he will always have his number, to be honest. So I'm not interested in seeing him fight Usyk again if Fury beats Usyk. I think if Fury wins, then I think AJ should exercise the rematch clause to fight Dubois. And again, it's make or break. It's make or break. He has to beat Dubois in the rematch, if that's the case.
Question. Sorry to cut you. Have we say new and improved AJ when, and I'm deep in it now, maybe because other people gas these people up. Who did he beat?
The opponents, Wallin and Ngannou. Guys who we should be smashing anyways.
Hellenius, Jermaine Franklin.
Yeah.
These are these 4 wins that...
Well, no, I'm saying the 2 specific ones under Ben Davidson is the one that everyone was like, oh...
Hellenius, Wallin, and Ngannou, right? Was that Derek James? No, I think it was Ben Davidson, because he stopped him, didn't he? He stopped Hellenius.
I swear he was with Derek James, though, for that one.
Was it? Maybe he was.
He went to Derek James, but also Ben Davidson was still involved in that. But then he did.
He had Rob Garcia. What was Robert Garcia?
Yeah, Robert Garcia for Franklin. I think it was. Okay. No, it might have been before. Did he have Robert Garcia for the Usyk rematch? I feel like Ben Davidson was the last two in Riyadh.
Yeah,
where
maybe.
He had Davidson.
Yeah,
Wallin and Ngannou. That's why I think he solely had Davidson.
Yeah, I think it's been since 2023 that Davidson's been involved.
Yeah, so that's Wallin and Ngannou, isn't it?
Hellenius was 2023 as well, because he had 3 fights there. But look, anyway, these guys were all trash, is the truth.
Yeah.
A bad AJ is beating them, let alone a good. So maybe I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Yeah,
the new and improved thing wasn't really new and improved. It was the same old AJ. Well, folks, I don't know if it was the same old AJ because I don't know. There seemed to be more of an aggression towards his work, especially the last 2 fighters.
Yeah,
Hellenius, we actually criticized him for being a bit gun shy, I remember, because he was letting Hellenius pop his head back. So we were critical of Hellenius' performance, and the Franklin performance was poor.
Yeah.
So the last 2 fights, we actually have seen some improved aggression from AJ, which is all we've wanted to see all along with him, to be honest. Yeah. So that's where the new and improved tag, I think, really came into play.
And then also, boys, let's be real. Let's compare the market.com here, right? Tyson Fury has fought Ngannou and looked shit.
Yep.
He's fought Derek Chisora. He's fought Dillian White.
Yeah.
And the outside of the world and stuff. I'm just talking more recently, right? And then of course onto the Usyk fight. So maybe it is actually just that the heavyweight division matchups are becoming more compelling. Maybe this is it. Maybe because we don't have these old guys at the top anymore. We don't have like guys in the age bracket of Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Povetkin and that now. We have fresher, younger guys in there. And as a result, the tables are turning a lot quicker. And so today's price is not the same as yesterday's price.
Yeah. But yeah, just to finish, I think see if Fury loses. If Fury loses, fight Fury. And then you can then go on to maybe rematch Dubois afterwards. But if Fury wins, exercise the rematch. Just don't lose, because, like I said, losing to Dubois twice, I think, is disastrous. It's hard to make a case for him to maybe go on to fight for undisputed belts and whatnot if you can't beat Daniel Dubois. And the other champions, Usyk, for example, you're not going to be like, these are 2 guys you've lost twice to. So it's like, where's the case there for you to be fighting these guys? If he wants an easy touch, a quick confidence boost, then I also concur with flows, especially with Deontay Wilder. It's not so much Jerome Miller, but Deontay Wilder, I think, will be a lovely confidence boost. If he can't beat this version of Wilder, I will personally cut up AJ's glove myself afterwards. I'm being serious. If he can't beat this version of Wilder, I myself will tell him to, like, just forget it, because this gun-shy Wilder doesn't even throw punches no more. So there's no way you can lose to this version of Wilder. But that's a nice little confidence boost if you knock Wilder out and whatnot. But yeah, wait to see the Fury-Usyk result, and I think hopefully if Usyk wins, now I've said it now, it's probably not going to happen. Now Fury's probably going to go and win, because as you said, Murphy's Law, for some reason, we never get the the Fury-AJ fight anyway. So yeah, but ultimately, I really want to see him fight Tyson Fury before he decides to call it a day. And I'm not saying that I think he's finished for him to call it a day now, but I don't know how many fights he has left out there for him, personally. I think
he's got 3 left.
Yeah, I think he's
got 3 left.
Yeah.
And it's those 3.
Yeah. What, Fury, Dubois, and Wilder?
Yeah. Honestly, I'd be happy if you're telling me those are the last 3 times we see
I'll be
Anthony
happy.
Joshua in the ring, and he gets his confidence back through Wilder, and then he goes and does the Fury, which, let's face it, he deserves, we deserve, and then maybe the last one gets to be a final shot at redemption in that highest pinnacle. If you're telling me those are the last 3 fights, I can get on board with that, and it's
Fury Wilder for sure. I'll be honest, I'm interested to see who fight Dubois again, but it's where is, you know, he should get his get back because Dubois made him look like a bitch. I'll be so real. Dubois made him look like a dickhead. So maybe.
Yeah.
But look, Fury has to fight Fury before he retires. That's what I want to push for.
Okay.
That's the main one.
In a car park.
That's the main one for me.
I think there's too much money with Riyadh season for him to only have 3 fights. I'll be real. I think he's gonna have a few more. I think there's a lot of money to be made.
I think for me, for just me, because heavyweights, punishment. He's 34 now, isn't he? 34.
Yeah.
35 next year. We also want to, as you said, Danny, we want to see our boxers be able to walk away when they can afford to walk away and with all their faculties in mind. It's more of understand the money side of things. Flows, His Excellency will probably push for him to stick around. But I'm talking from my personal opinion. I don't want to see AJ have many more nights like we saw the other day where he's taking unnecessary punishment. And as you get older, your body slows down. So, I just want to get those other fights out the way, and then he can sit off into the sunset, man. He's achieved so much. He's achieved everything. So, man.
Not quite. But
okay, not on this point. You know what I mean, though. He's achieved a lot in the game. Like he can hold his head high.
And he's made a lot of money. He's made more money than
anyone
else.
The most money by far. So
if he was to put it there.
But he's not finished. Just reiterate, Anthony Joshua's not finished at all.
Yeah.
He made a stupid mistake. It cost him. I trust him not to make that mistake again. But he's not finished. He's still got plenty left in the tank, I think so. And just a very bad day at the office. And unfortunately, we know how it is, guys. You know, in this day and age where athletes are hyper visible, you know, back then there was no social media. So I can show you old timers who got beat up badly and, you know, slumped like that. But now, obviously, everything is memed. Everything's on social media quicker than you can snap your fingers. It is what it is. So the corn's going to be horrible. It's going to be peak. All the memes for the next couple of days are going to be nasty. But you ride it out and, you know, you just do what you got to do. Go back to the drawing board and you got to silence the haters. So I hope he comes back mentally from this. I believe he can. The Anthony Joshua story, in my eyes, guys, is not over yet. We've still got some buckling down to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And end of the day, man, Wembley Stadium is a big place to have a bad day at the office. So
crazy.
Shout out to Bra, man. That's what I want to say. Shout out to Bra. Because we get some wrong on this pod. We get them wrong sometimes, man.
Yeah, man. Didn't expect to be like that though, man. He watched him, man. He actually watched him. That's crazy.
It's arguably one of his easiest fights. I think that's even fair.
He got rocked once. He was in trouble once, and he went and knocked him out straight away. So really and truly, AJ didn't really put a dent in Dubois at all. So man.
From the first spell,
boxing's crazy. Boxing's an insane sport, man. Especially heavyweight boxing, where it's just one punch and suddenly you're on the ropes. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but look, shout out to His Excellency, actually. Let me shout him out first and foremost. Great event. The best are fighting the best. They're being more active. We've got upcoming fights, which we weren't getting before. Bivol Beterbiev, Usyk rematch. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this era on there. Just get rid of that stupid poll, man. For the Riyadh season polls and the Dr. Suleiman Habib's adverts.
Can I just say as well that what gripe of mine, why would they boo in His Excellency every time it came on the screen, the British public?
It was a few.
It's just dumb, man. It's just dumb.
I don't know why.
I know why, but it's just very, very stupid, to be honest. And I felt like asking the people booing, like, you know, the reason why we're getting all these amazing fights in boxing right now is because of this guy. Like, we should be cheering this guy because he's putting on these amazing, amazing fights that we weren't getting before, as you said, Flows. But because of him, we're getting these marquee matchups. The best are fighting the best. We love to complain and say the best don't fight the best. But he's coming now. He's making that happen. So booing him is just very stupid, if you ask me. But yeah.
Look, man, I mean, look at the whole show, right? He managed to convince Liam Gallagher for a lot of money, no doubt, to come and perform 3 songs, despite the fact they've just sold the place out for God knows how many nights and all of this. You know, the whole show, the level of celebrities that were there, the overall production and stuff, like it is on the next level. And so the thing that I need the British public to get into their heads here, right, is whatever you feel about Saudi Arabia or whatever you think about, you know, this guy and the culture over there and whatever, you're now part of it because you're now hereby you're willing to sit there and buy the ticket and take the ride. So you don't then get to sit there and boo their national anthem. You don't then get to sit there and start having a moral compass when it suits you because the guy's on the screen in front of you. You know what? You have welcomed this money. You have welcomed Saudi Arabia investment by getting involved. And you know, the one thing that really does my night is when people start booing national anthems and things like that. You know, as a South African, you have to sit there.
Absolutely shameful.
It's always 1 or 2 England fans that are booing the South African national anthem and whatever. And like, you know, again, if the tables were turned and somebody starts booing the English national anthem, it's game over, right? So it shouldn't be any different in reverse. This is the reality now. Actually, it's been nothing but good. Like the Saudi investment and interest in boxing has given us some of the best nights of boxing, and this was one of them, right? This is one of those fights that was born in political ambiguity until His Excellency came along and told them all to start getting along. So I think the British boxing public need to check their attitude there a little bit and just grow up because, quite frankly, you bought the ticket, you brought along your favourite rock and roll star to come and sing you a few songs before the main event, sit there and enjoy it and accept that there is a huge foreign investment happening and it is changing boxing for the better.
Well said, Danny.
Perfectly
said. In fact, I just clocked it as well. You just had a light bulb moment. The reason for AJ's poor performance is Liam Gallagher's fault.
I mean, that was a hard watch as well.
It's Liam Gallagher's fault. I'm blaming Liam. If he hadn't performed, if they had gotten Stormzy or something, or even Morrison, who came out of Hamza, I promise you AJ would have won. I promise you.
I was going through his social media trying to work out if he got a selfie with Drake or anything like that. Just, you know, again. But I realized though, ever since he had that photo taken of him standing on the top of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he lost all his belts.
It's true. It's true. It's true. That's a good point, Denny.
Yeah. The Tottenham curse.
Tottenham. Oh man, damn. Yeah, man. AJ can come back again. He can come back again. He can come back. Dubois, enjoy the moment. I said you've announced yourself now as the big dog. The boy has become a man now. So yeah, I look forward to seeing. Actually, I really look forward to seeing how Dubois handles himself in the fights he's going to come next, because obviously he's going to get the big fights with, let's say, a Fury or a Usyk again. He was quick to call out Usyk for their rematch. Obviously, their first one was contentious. Still, to this day, people are debating whether it was a low blow or not. So, yeah, man, I look forward to seeing how he handles himself. This is going to send his confidence through the roof. Like, we might even get Dubois talking promos because of this. Who knows? We might, which I doubt it. But yeah.
No.
He can't intimidate me.
Who do you think you are?
This
is Africa. We're lions. What did you say the other day? This is Africa. We like.
Yeah, this is Africa. We kill lions or something like that over here. Oh no, we kill something. He was in Saudi.
We slaughter lambs.
I tried listening to his post fight. It was tough. It was tough because it's the same program responses from Dubois, but he is what he is at this point. He is what he is, and at the same time, there's something very cute about Dubois, especially when he's happy. Like you saw his reaction afterwards.
He's a legend.
Funny guy. Yeah, man. Yeah.
If anyone was to do that to AJ, I would have it be Dubois.
And you know what? I'm really happy for Don Charles as well. On a side note as well, Don Charles has obviously been in the business for a long, long time. This is his first ever world champion, that he's had. Obviously, he's been training for a long time. So yeah, really happy for Don Charles as well, because he's always come across to me as a very stand-up guy in boxing. So yeah, good to see that he's finally sort of reached the pinnacle of his career by getting a world champion in this stable. So yeah, big up Don Charles. But guys, I think we can call it a day there. Really, I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add or anything else you guys want to trauma dump. Feel free, because Yeah, man, it was very painful. We ducked out as soon as the fight was ending. We left. And I think everyone ducked out. And everyone was just like, what the hell happened? Like, what did we just see? I saw people crying, people, head down, people were angry. So yeah, man, it was a very, very traumatic experience. It's not the way I expected my first AJ fight live in the flesh to go, but that is heavyweight boxing, guys. It's brutal. It's very, very brutal. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to add?
Look, man, it's nights like that are why heavyweight boxing is the money division. You know what I mean? And because it can be that unpredictable and that tenacious. And I think as hard as it is to watch somebody that you admire take a beat down like that, I think it just also speaks for how exciting like the whole sport is right now, let alone that division. And I think you know the fact that we had like such a diverse card that ended in what will turn out to be one of probably the biggest fights of 2024, but bar none almost. Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So like, I'm so torn because I'm so happy that we were there, but at the same time, I'm devastated, and I might need to take some time out now.
Dubois won our fight of the year already, by the way, Flows. Just telling you now. He's probably won it already.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Usyk's resume looks brilliant, by the way. Just shout at him.
Oh,
again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, by the way, I saw Joe Joyce posting his win against Dubois saying, oh, see, this looks like this is aged like fine wine. Shut up, Joyce. Get out of here, Joyce.
Read the room.
Who do you think you are? You lost to Chisora in 2024. I ain't trying to hear from you.
Say the what? Joyce, you should retire.
For sure. You can't lose to Derek Chisora in 2024 and call yourself a serious. But yeah, anyways, it will be harsh. But yeah. All right, Flows. I think we can round up there then. This has been episode 214 of the Strat Season podcast. Thanks again for joining us, Danny. Always a pleasure for having you on. Just before we sign off, Danny, do you want to just, shout any socials again, plug anything? Please feel free.
Yep, always keen to talk shop and that Dan Roy Carter _. I've retired to Danny Roy Carter moniker, but look, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure, and it was such a blessing to actually get to watch the fight in the flesh with you boys, and I hope it's not the last time, but maybe not an AJ fight. Moving forward.
Hamza Sheeraz, that's our boy now.
Yeah,
that's it. But yeah, I've been your boy Cam.
I'm your boy Flows.
And as always, guys, you know where to find us. Peace.
I'm taking a strap. I'm strapped up.
What was that about?
Let's make the fight happen. We strapped the fuck up.